at practice. Everybody getting into the act.
Durant fires for three.
Got it! Got it! Here's Thompson for three.
Big shot by Steph Curry.
Hey there, it's Maria Marino for Fantasy Sports Network, joined by Michael Leone of DailyRoto.com, which is the place to go before you set any of your DFS lineups. And Michael, I like your shirt there, buddy. We got to get some lineups and chill going on. So why don't you help us set our lineups as you set yours? We'll start with the point guard position. Russell Westbrook, the highest priced player at over $12K. Do you or do you not like him tonight?
It's tough not to like him on a short slate. That's really a difficult slate, and he does have one of the better matchups against Sacramento. With that said, I think the move here is to save some money at the point guard position. I'd rather pay up at shooting guard for James Harden, who we'll talk about there. And at point guard in the mid-tier, you've got Eric Bledsoe, who's just been logging a lot of playing time recently. He's averaging nearly 35 minutes a game in the month of March. Against the Knicks, his playing time was scaled back a little bit, but the games before that, he played 35, 35, 40, and 35 minutes. And he actually does have one of the better matchups for point guards on this slate, facing a Memphis team that's 20th in defensive efficiency against the point guard spot. And if you look at this slate, a lot of these teams are really strong against point guards. The top three teams at defending point guards are all present in this slate. So I even think someone like Chris Paul is a bit more expensive, and at first glance you'd say, oh, he's playing San Antonio, that's a really poor matchup. Well, relative to the other point guards, it's not that poor of a matchup, and you'd hope the minutes for the Houston guys could get extended a little bit against the Spurs. Obviously, Houston's going to be favored by a decent amount in this game, but it's a game that matters for both teams. Houston's trying to keep pace as the top team in the West, while San Antonio is just trying to still make the playoffs. So I like Chris Paul and Bledsoe as spends at the point guard position that aren't going to cost you that huge tag that Westbrook is.
Let's talk about the shooting guard position. We have the beard, James Harden, available. He is expected to play. I know he's been dealing with an injury of late. Again, he is the most expensive player, salary $11.2. How do you feel about him tonight?
He is the most expensive player at shooting guard, but what I like about him, he's cheaper than some of the other potential spends at other positions. We talked about Westbrook. His price tag's really, really high at point guard. You've got Giannis Antetokounmpo at small forward. He's going to cost more than James Harden. Harden projects on DailyRoto.com right now pretty similar to these guys, despite having a lower price tag. And if you look at the positional opportunity cost as well, at the shooting guard, the values behind Harden don't rate as well as some of the values at point guard or the values at small forward, surprisingly. So combination of him being cheaper than the other studs on this slate and the opportunity cost being pretty low at the shooting guard spot, I think he's the guy you really want to pay up for here. And you can pair him with someone in that same game with Danny Green for the Spurs and save some money with Danny Green. I mentioned this is a game where both teams need to win. Hopefully you see minutes extended. And on the Spurs side of things, their value is high because, one, they're playing up in tempo against Houston. It's going to create more opportunities for fantasy points. And two, those opportunities are going to get a little bit condensed because you don't have LaMarcus Aldridge playing in this game. You don't have Manu Ginobili playing in this game. So it's going to thin out the rotation, both in terms of minutes and rates for some of the Spurs players.
In the small forward spot, Giannis Antetokounmpo is playing. He's the priciest on the slate with a salary of $11.9. How do you feel about Giannis? Do you like him, or you want to save some money at this position?
I think I want to save some money. I mean, maybe if some really good values emerge as we move towards lineup lock, you could argue for a double stud lineup. But right now, the small forward spot actually has a couple of good cheap plays, which we don't usually say. But I think we've got some options that have good median expectations, but also have a little bit of upside to them. You start with Justice Winslow in Miami, who's averaging over 30 minutes per game in March. You know, it's not a huge sample, but that's a big rise from the rest of the season. No other month did he even average over 25 minutes per game. You've got Dwayne Wade out here. You've got Hassan Whiteside out here, and on a slate where most of these teams, 7 of the 8, I would say, have matchups that you would normally deem as difficult or below average from a fantasy DVP perspective, having a guy on a team that is playing a little bit thinner and is going to have the rates and minutes condensed is important. So I like the price tag on Justice Winslow. And Rudy Gay's in a very similar spot with San Antonio, having Manu Ginobili, LaMarcus Aldridge out. You've already got Gay averaging a FanDuel point per minute on the season, which is really strong production. And I think that could rise given the increase in tempo against Houston. We've got him as one of the best projected small forward values on DailyRoto.com. playing about 22 minutes, but I think even that could get inched up to the mid-20s depending on the game situation.
Let's talk about the power forward position. All the options for tonight, Michael, are actually very reasonably priced. So how do you find somebody that stands out? Who are some people that stand out to you?
I think you really want to take advantage of this Miami situation with Hassan Whiteside out. That's where a lot of this value is going to come on this slate. That's difficult to find value. And Bam Adebayo at $3,500 looks to be the best value at any position on this slate. He's going to save you money so you can pay up for at least one of those studs. We like James Harden at shooting guard. And you might look at his last game with Hassan Whiteside out and just see 18 minutes and get a little bit scared off. But keep in mind, he played 13 first half minutes. He left early in the first half with foul trouble. He got in foul trouble early in the second half, which he got yanked, and he never returned to the game because it was a blowout. So we've got him as the top projected value on the slate with a conservative playing time estimation of 23.5 minutes. I really think last game was an illusion, and that playing time could escalate into the mid to high 20s. So I like him a lot. And then in that same game, his teammate James Johnson's also going to benefit. Similar to Bam, he didn't play a lot last game, but a lot of that was due to the fact that he didn't play fourth quarter minutes, and he was on pace to play about 28 minutes in this game. We're conservatively projecting him at 26. Even there, he rates really well. And James Johnson has this nice ceiling. He can be volatile at times, but he's an all-around contributor. When he's on, he's all across the board. He's contributing rebounds, assists, points, and he can rack up the defensive statistics at 3 points apiece. So the Miami front court is really where you want to go at power forward.
In the center position, once again, we have options that probably won't break the bank. The highest priced player, Marc Gasol, at $7,800. How do you like him, or are you looking somewhere else at this position?
I'm going to keep it within the Gasol family, but not go with Marc. I'm going to go with Pau Gasol, who, with LaMarcus Aldridge out in 6 games this season's averaged 27 minutes, a 23% usage rate, a 20% rebounding rate, and a 27% assist rate. That's really phenomenal production. All of those numbers are higher than his seasonal marks. He's also averaging 33 FanDuel points per game in those 6 games. And you look at what we think at DailyRoto.com, for each player we decide, okay, how many points do they need to score based on their salary? For Pau Gasol, it's about 30 points based on his salary tonight, and that 33 points that he's averaging is about what we're projecting. That's 3 points higher than what he needs to justify his salary. We've only got 4 players on the entire slate that even project to outpace their value threshold, so to speak, and Gasol is one of them by quite a bit. So I think he's a core play in cash games, but if you want to pivot in tournaments, might be lower owned. Jusuf Nurkic's a really strong option. He scored 40 plus FanDuel points 23% of the time this season. So yes, he's volatile, but that makes sense in tournaments. You want that ceiling. He has it. His minutes have been down a little bit due to some blowouts, and that might keep people off of him. So I think he's a very nice leverage play off Pau Gasol, and Pau's the guy you're going to use in cash games.
Michael Leone of DailyRoto.com. Thanks so much, as always, for the great insight, and there's plenty more where that came from at DailyRoto.com, and there'll be plenty more tomorrow as well. I'll see you then.